Good afternoon. This is Abby Adler, Chief of Staff of the New York State Council on the Arts. I'm going to begin by taking a roll call of the council members to confirm if we have a quorum present. When I state your name, if you would be so kind as to say present. Monica Engel. Present. Larry Cook.
Present.
Carol Lee Fink. Present. Aaron Flagg.
Present.
Amy Howe. Present. Brian Higgins.
Present.
Janet Langsam.
Present.
Eric Latsky.
Present.
James Lemons.
Present.
Nino Laura.
Present.
Laudalina Martinez.
Present.
Peter Pokris.
Present.
Monica Ramirez Montagu.
Present.
Catherine Schwefferman.
Present.
Adriana Trigiani.
Present.
Patrick Willingham.
Present.
For the business of today's meeting, Councilmember Eric Latsky has been designated by Executive Chamber to oversee the procedural elements. Eric, we have 17 council members present and may proceed.
Oh, yeah.
Just David, my apologies, David Allen Miller.
Present.
I think we're
No, it's actually 17. David. Eric, we have 17 council members present and may proceed whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Abby. As we have a quorum of council members present, I hereby call the November 7th, 2024 meeting of the Council of the New York State Council on the Arts to order. To remind all in attendance, this is a public meeting that is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to Erica Mallon, Executive Director of NYSCA.
Thank you, Eric, and welcome to all of our council members. And thank you all for being here, and staff and everyone. Today, the council will review and vote on funding for New York State's support for the following FY 2025 opportunities, grant opportunities. Support for organizations, support for artists, targeted opportunities, and re-grants and services. We are considering approximately $62 million in grant making, which will be distributed across all 10 regions of the state. Council will also review and ratify the FY 2025 panelist rosters. The application portal for these opportunities we're reviewing today opened in June 5th, closed July 17th. Between September and October, NYSCA staff conducted 60 peer review panels and welcomed 216 panelists from all 10 regions of the state. Thank you to the council members who were able to attend one or more of these panel sessions. I want to applaud the incredible cohort of the FY 2025 peer review panelists for their time, insights, expertise, and commitment to the most important part of our review process in this grant making session. I also want to recognize the NYSCA staff led by Deputy Director of Programs, Megan White, Deputy Director of Operations, Karen Welch. Where are you, Karen? Back there. Chief of Staff, Abby Adler. Your leadership has ensured a seamless panel process. To our Programs and Operations staff, bravo. Thank you all for everything you do to manage NYSCA's grant making process and your thoughtful and guidance to our applicants in navigating the application process. A few updates. Now moving on to the recent NYSCA Staffing Council. On June 6th, Governor Hochul appointed lots of new members to the council who are all with us today. Brian Higgins, Amy Howe, Janet Langsam, Nino Laura, Peter Pokris, Monica Ramirez Montagu, and Patrick Willingham. Welcome to our new councils, and again, welcome to all of our council, and we thank all of you for your service. Really great. Additionally, I am so pleased, very pleased to introduce NYSCA's new General Counsel, Noah Brick. Prior to NYSCA, Noah represented many arts organizations and also served as counsel to the New York City Council's Finance Committee. Welcome, Noah. I would also like to acknowledge famous program director, Leanne Tintori. Where are you, Leanne? All right. Who after 17 years of service will be retiring this month. Throughout her tenure, Leanne has overseen artistic discipline areas such as presenting, dance, and the state and local partnerships. Her leadership of the statewide Community Re-Grant Partner Program has fostered a thriving network of arts organizations and artists, strengthening New York's arts and culture sector for decades to come. Please join me in thanking Leanne for her phenomenal work to advance this. Moving on to our upcoming opportunities. For our FY 2025 capital project opportunity is well underway. This year, NYSCA is proud and thankful to be offering $80 million across 3 opportunities for capital. Small and mid-sized projects with grants ranging from $10,000 to $2 million, large projects with grants ranging from $2 million to $10 million, and a new category, the first of its kind, support for mid-stage advanced design documents. We also eliminated match requirements for grants up to $99,000. These are game changers for small and mid-sized organizations embarking on their capital improvements. Our capital projects team is holding weekly virtual office hours. We had a record number of attendees at its kickoff webinar, and the deadline is January 14th, 2025. Those awards will be reviewed at our March council meeting, and we anticipate announcing all capital awards in April 2025. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Anne Marie Seacrest, Director of Communications, for some more updates. Anne Marie.
Thank you so much, Erica. Building on the great strides we made in our last communications and outreach report, I'm happy to present past year's efforts and accomplishments to increase NYSCA's audience and reach new applicants. While our hardworking NYSCA program staff is visiting arts and organizations throughout New York, Erica herself is traveling all over the state and has already been to organizations in 7 out of the 10 New York State regions, with many more to come. She has also led roundtable discussions with dozens of grantees in Saratoga and Buffalo, and has met with arts leaders such as NEA Chair Dr. Rosario Jackson and many of our elected officials statewide. This outreach and energy has attracted a lot of media interest, especially for our capital project grant making. With groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings, NYSCA funds are supporting projects which directly impact tourism, local economies, and job creation. I've listed the highlights of some of these capital project events over the past year, including, the picture is, of Governor Hochul at the groundbreaking of the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Expansion Project and her announcement of our FY25 capital project opportunity. Now for one of my favorite topics, social media. Although we post about our grantees, our travels, and our initiatives, the post with the most engagement is still around grant opportunities, both NYSCA's solo grant making and with our partner organizations. We are continuing to create posts for our SCR grant making partners. Many of their application seasons are open right now, and we're seeing terrific improvements, including, go to the next slide. We passed the 10,000 follower mark on Instagram from 7,500 last year. We've seen some great gains on LinkedIn and across all channels. And I compared January, October of this year to last year. We're up almost 40% new followers, and we're up to 50% more impressions. And overall, our post reach across channels is up 119% from last year. And this is the number of people who saw our posts on Facebook, Instagram, and other accounts. In print, we've seen some significant overall arts coverage, including the New York Times recommendation of a great upstate museum road trip, which covered NYSCA grantees, the AKG, the Corning Museum of Glass, the Johnson Museum at Cornell, and the Eastman Museum. And the Wall Street Journal's article, which covered how nonprofit theaters, many of whom are NYSCA grantees, nurture and develop future Broadway productions and become Tony nominees. Although historically NYSCA has supported the growth of such known institutions as Alvin Ailey, we wanted to share that these success stories are still happening today. 3 filmmakers supported by NYSCA grantee Women Make Movies were nominated this year for Academy Awards. And Shamel Pitts is a 2024 MacArthur Fellowship awardee, and it was a former NYSCA NYFA Artist Fellow. NYSCA grantees include Tony winners, Pulitzer winners, and luminaries of every discipline. NYSCA support marks a priceless seal of approval for so many artists and organizations, and still, through 2024, a launch pad for our most influential artists and inspiring projects. And lastly, our own executive director was included on City and State's Art and Culture Power 100, along with our new council members, Patrick Willingham, Brian Higgins, and Amy Howe. We're also always working to make our application process as easy as possible and provide the best customer service that we can. We provide live webinars, video recordings, and office hours. The audience for these webinars have been excellent, which over 3,500 engagements, it's about 1,600 live attendees, plus almost 2,000 people watching the recordings, over 500 attendees for individual office hours, and our stalwart help desk, which is answered by NYSCA staff, answered over 2,000 inquiries over this grant cycle. So I always like to share the appreciation of the grantees for the work we all do here at NYSCA. Here's one from the Patchogue Arts Council in Long Island, celebrating their support for artist recipients. And the next one is one of my favorites. Next one, we could play that.
We have started doing live drawing classes, and so we've been ordering supplies thanks to a NYSCA grant so that we have all the materials necessary for live drawings. So here's what it is. So this is our brand new drawing board. It's got clips here for the paper and a rubber band down here.
Apologies. Anyway, thanks for allowing me to present our efforts to serve, assist, and reach our field through these different channels. We are always striving to increase and expand our access to this critical funding. Thank you so much. Does anyone have questions? Okay, thank you. Back to you, Erica.
So as we continue forward, I wanted to give some context to the field, which then has informed our grant making for this year. I think, we see that from travels and all of the other data going around, that the state of the arts sector is that of still one of active and ongoing recovery. We do see bright spots, but the industry still is tenuous. There are major challenges facing the industry, from decreased revenue, both earned and philanthropic, to changes in audience habits, to the high cost of doing business. And for many, this will be the last year of COVID funding that will represent a major cliff or gap in funding. But we also see new and exciting changes. New partnerships are being formed, new programming, new voices, and organizations and artists testing new ways of programming and reaching new audiences. There is so much innovation happening despite these obstacles. And that is why, as a public funder, we want to respond in real time to support our sector as they face these challenges, but also to give them the ability to take new risks to ultimately thrive. And so I do want to take a moment to give a shout out to our applicants. This is, a sector of thousands and thousands, to thank them for their vision and bravery to make and produce art that contributes to the health and wealth of our communities, that gives back billions of dollars to our economy. Just as importantly, when we invest in the arts, as we all know, we are investing in an educated, critical thinking, empathetic, and democratic society. We are investing in progress and innovation, and ultimately in teaching us how we can be better citizens, individuals, and humans for now and for the future. Our greatest change makers and leaders are artists and arts organizations. And with the support of the governor and legislature, today we have the privilege, and it is with great joy, to review and vote on $62 million in grants to over 2,000 grantees across the state. So I'll now turn the meeting over to Deputy Director of Programs, Megan White, to review the 2025 panelist roster.
Thank you so much, Erica. You can find these recommendations in your packet on your iPads, pages 2 to 13. NYSCA's primary objective is to provide grants to arts and cultural organizations within the state of New York. Grant making is our fundamental mission, and the panel process is the key to our grant making engine. It represents the pivotal stage where decisions are reached and essential information is exchanged. Each year, NYSCA solicits nominations from NYSCA staff, council members, current panelists, current grantees, and the general public. This year, as you've heard, we've launched a more robust call for nominations, sharing information more broadly on social media through targeted boosted votes, resulting in over 300 new nominations. Today, we bring forward 457 panelist nominations for council's review and vote. This includes 193 new panelists and 264 returning panelists. All panel members serve single-year terms and may be reappointed for up to 3 years. Once they've served 3 consecutive terms, panelists must rotate off for 1 year before returning to service. Each separate panel is comprised of 5 to 7 individuals, and the collective complementary skill sets foster a rigorous and thoughtful review of every application that we receive. Panelists sign confidentiality and affiliation statements in accordance with New York State ethics laws prior to reviewing applications. At the top of every meeting, they're reminded that they are not there to reach consensus, nor are they there to decide who gets funded or to judge grant writing, but they are there rather to make sure that their scores and their commentary align with their critical opinion of the application according to our criteria. Along with assurances that while the totality of panelists for each discipline are available on our website, we never share the subset of individuals deliberating in the meeting, nor do we attribute any further commentary to a specific individual when relaying comments. All in attendance are bound to the same confidentiality rules, therefore encouraging them to be frank in their critical conversations. To aid with their duties, panelists are provided with a training video, panelist handbook, and regular guidance from the program staff about how to review and rate applications. In addition to reviewing and rating, panelists also provide critical commentary for every application that is shared with all applicants, whether they're funded or not, upon request, giving them the unique opportunity to understand how their peers react to the work that they're doing in their studios, organizations, and communities across the state. Please review these recommendations and let us know if you have any questions.
I just have a question about whether there's any tracking beyond individual names and the information we have here, whether there's any aggregate data tracking, such as area of the states, any sort of demographic information. Are there targets that we're trying to reach aside from an additional number of families?
From discipline to discipline annually, there are targets that we try to reach depending on what the composition of the panel is. For example, general example, in dance, they may be looking for more artistic directors as opposed to choreographers or administrators. And so from year to year, there will be an increased lookout for those types of individuals. We really do rely on our applicants and our council members to make suggestions of qualified panelists from year to year.
So you're looking for those additional members or in specific categories, do you publish that amongst us? Is that something that happens at the staff level? How does that
Well, I think we've informed you about our general outreach to the totality of the public. From staff people, there will be conversations perhaps with applicant organizations or other individuals who are influential in the field to say, hey, we really encourage this type of individual. But in general, we accept all applications year round. There is an annual deadline, but names can be submitted at any time.
May I ask one more question?
Of course.
I'm obviously new here and I'm not asking these questions to challenge any practices and I'm just trying to learn. What criteria are we to be using to assess these panelists that are before us, aside from a review of them?
Well, I think that the assessment of the panelists is already happened on the staff level. What we're asking you to do is just look over the names and be aware of the vast talent pool that goes into making decisions about these applications across the board.
Fabulous, that's so helpful. As I reflected to Abby earlier in getting this packet, it's very impressive, the number of panelists, the number of panels that you hold, so.
It is an agency-wide effort, and again,
Yes, we would be very grateful for you to put people forth, and you can do it right onto the website and just make them fill it out. And yes.
That's one of the nice things about sitting in and auditing the panel, is
Yes.
people appreciate just
Yeah.
how stellar the panel is.
Yes, very, very, exactly.
Any other questions or commentary?
Nope.
If not, I'll turn it back over to Eric.
Thank you, Mika. At this time, NYSCA has determined that the council has a basis to enter into executive session to review the NYSCA FY 2025 support for organizations, support for artists, targeted opportunities, and re-grants and services grant recommendations. Section 105(1)(f) of the Open Meetings Law permits a public body to enter into an executive session to discuss, quote, the financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation. We will return to public meeting at the conclusion of the presentation by NYSCA staff at approximately 2:30 p.m. I would like to ask council for a motion to enter into executive session. So moved. Thank you. And second? Thank you. All those in favor of entering into executive session, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries.
Eric, I am confirming that the recording of the public portion of this meeting has resumed and that you may proceed.
Thank you, Abby. Welcome back to the public portion of the council meeting for the New York State Council on the Arts. I'm Councilmember Eric Latsky. Thank you all for joining us. To remind all in attendance, this is a public meeting that is being recorded. At this time, I would like to ask council for a motion to ratify the FY 2025 panelist rosters. Is there a motion? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of ratifying the FY 2025 panelist rosters, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. At this time, I would like to ask council for a motion for a joint vote on the FY 25 support for organizations, support for artists, targeted opportunities, and re-grants and services grant recommendations. Is there a motion? Thank you.
Give it to me.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you. I would now like to ask Chief of Staff Abby Adler if there are any recusals to report. Those with a conflict will be deemed recused on their vote for the applicable application.
Thank you, Eric. As a reminder, our code of ethics requires council members to make timely disclosures of any affiliations with proposed NYSCA grantees from which an actual conflict of interest or the appearance thereof may arise. I will now read into the record all council member conflicts that have been reported. American Symphony Orchestra League, aka League of American Orchestras, David Allen Miller and Aaron Flagg. Arts Westchester, Janet Langsam and Peter Pockris. Asian American Arts Alliance, Amy Howe. Bethany Arts Community, Peter Pockris. Bronx Council on the Arts, Janet Langsam. Buffalo Arts and Technology Center, Monica Engel. Buffalo Fine Arts Academy, also known as the AKG Museum, Monica Engel. Birchfield Penny Arts Center, Monica Engel. CNY Arts, Janet Langsam. Historic Hudson Valley, Peter Pockris. Hugh Culture, aka Museum Hugh, Amy Howe. Huntington Arts Council, Janet Langsam. Lake Placid Association of Music, Drama, and Art, James Lemons, New York Foundation for the Arts, Janet Langsam, New York Shakespeare Festival, also known as the Public Theater, Patrick Willingham, Parish Art Museum, Monica Ramirez Montagut, Roxbury Arts Group, Janet Langsam, the Governor's Island Corporation, Carolee Fink.
Thank you, Abby. Are there any other recusals that council would like to report at this time? Let's proceed to the vote. Council members, all those in favor of approving the FY25 support for organizations, support for artists, targeted opportunities, and re-grants and services grant recommendations, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, the motion carries. And I now turn this meeting back to Erica.
Thank you all, council members, and again, staff, program and operations, for your service and commitment to our state. Special thank you to our council member Eric Latsky for overseeing the procedures of our meeting. Today, you have all approved $62 million in vital public funding that will support artists. Support artists, organizations, communities across New York State, our 10 regions, and in our 62 counties. We thank Governor Hochul and our state legislatures for their continued dedication to supporting the arts and cultural sector. Our work together ensures that all New Yorkers and visitors will continue to experience and benefit from our dynamic, world-renowned creative community. Our next meeting will be held in March. The date will be forthcoming shortly. At this meeting, we will review and vote on the 2025 capital project grant recommendations and the appeals panel recommendations. In-person attendance is mandatory to achieve quorum, although we can accommodate you in a public space in other parts of the state. If you have if you need information, let us know on that. So please inform us once we get you the date if you have any conflicts so that we may plan accordingly. All right, $62 million, people. I wish everyone good health, happy holidays, and parting words, Eric.
Thank you, Erica. At this time, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting, this meeting of the New York State Council.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.